Most of this problem we already talked about in that graphing calculator video. We showed in the graphing calculator video how to graph this thing, how to zoom in and get it to show up properly, and how to find the intersection points. We also showed you how to use the alpha trace shortcuts where you can call this your Y1 and Y2, and you can access those in the calculator right there. So I just want to stress again that you don't necessarily need to write out the whole function. You can if you want. You do need to show all of your integrals. Those are your setups. Your area integrals and your volume integrals, those are your setups. And then they're expecting us to do the Math 9 to get that answer right there. If this is on the non-calculator part of the test, they will most likely make those functions a little bit easier to work with there. And it won't be your Math 9 stuff there. But I just want to mention you can write that as G minus F. So for part A, again, you're going top curve minus the bottom curve. That was G minus F. Part B, you're going top curve minus the bottom curve because it's just two area problems. And you're using the X's that take you across that shape. So go left to right, use the X's that take you across that shape right there. When we're doing the volume, there's going to be the disk method here. When you find the volume, all those equations are X's. There's my rectangle perpendicular to that axis of revolution. Remember, Y equals is a horizontal line. It even tells you horizontal. But the disk method, remember, your capital R is a distance from this axis of revolution up to the farther edge of your bounded area right there. Now, when you go from the x-axis up, that's always equal to y, but you started back here and you traveled 1 unit first, then you went from the x-axis up. So this was 1 unit, and then from the x-axis up, that's y, and then so that's 1 plus y for the capital R. Your little r is the same exact scenario, the distance from the x revolution to your closer edge, and so you go from there up, that's y, but so starting back here, you went 1 unit plus that y unit, so the same exact thinking, your little r is a 1 plus y, but your capital R is going to that farther edge, that's your f of x, and your little r is going to that closer edge, which is your g of x. And so when you plug this in, I just want to mention, I'll show you how to do this one here. Anytime I got to put a pi in front of that integral or even a number in front of the integral, I like to put that in there first, because sometimes if you do the Math 9 first, you might forget to times it by the pi, which is why you always show that setup right there. And then I'm going to Math 9 this thing, and I'm going to go from 0.178 to 1. And I just want to show you before you get started, if I hit my y equals button, there's my f of x, there's my g of x right there. So those are already into my calculator, which means, all right, so I'm going to hit a parentheses. I got to go 1 plus that f squared. So I'm going to go 1 plus. Instead of typing in all of this, I can just hit alpha trace, access my y1, close that parentheses, and then square it. And I'm going to go minus, and I'll go 1 plus, and I'll go alpha trace. And this time, this is my y2, close the parentheses, and then square it. And then while it's on my mind, let's say there was supposed to be like a number in front of this parentheses and you forget to add that in. This does have an insert button. Like if you do the INS right there, what you do is you put your cursor right on top of the thing where you want to put the number in front of, and you hit second, and then that INS button. And then like if I want to put a 5 in front of there, it'll type that 5 in front of there. Because if you don't do that, then it's just going to type right on over it right there. But I'm going to delete that 5 because that's supposed to be there. So we got that 1 plus my g of x squared. And then I just hit my variable button at the very end right there. And it does that Math 9 for us there. So area, volume stuff, do that disk method, practice the calculator work, get the graph in there, practice your shortcuts and your intersection points. Chicken nuggets.